Let's get more insight on China's music industry with Eric de Fontenay. He's the founder and president of Music Dish China. Eric, thanks for joining us. Let's get straight into it. And the Chinese music industry grossing $170 million last year. China digital music revenues climbing about 64%. That's according to the Global Music Report. Eric, what is behind this phenomenal growth?
Thanks for having me, Michelle. I believe there are certain factors that are behind the growth. One, I reminded when I came to China 7 years ago, people would say, why pay for music? It's free. And it was very much akin to the US in the early Napster days. In the US, really the game changer was iTunes. But in China, the game changer was government policy, where the government really put a priority on copyright industries and consequently the music industry. And so that took two shapes. One was to choke off really the illicit, explicitly illicit and pirated music that was being offered, and at the same time forcing the internet service providers and music services to license the music they were offering. So for consumers, they were now being offered high quality music through music services in an attractive and easy to use format. And I think that really started changing perceptions. And another factor, of course, that we can't forget is the changing economics in China. Very much rising incomes and a middle-class lifestyle that started penetrating and spreading nationwide from first-tier cities to second, third, fourth-tier cities really changed the way people were consuming entertainment goods. Again, when I first came here, people would tell me, well, the Chinese consumer will not pay for music because basically they view it as a public good. They come from a communist system. Well, what we've seen today is, of course, the movie industry is booming here. People are paying for gaming. The live music industry is booming. So people really have changed their perception and value entertainment, good quality entertainment, are willing to pay for it. And that's driving much of the growth.
It clearly is, and Eric, local Chinese licensed digital music services are really benefiting the likes of Alibaba's Xiaomi Music, Baidu Music, and Tencent's QQ, all doing very well with this change in mindset. But how is Apple Music doing in China?
Apple Music actually has been doing quite well, I believe. They've had some pretty good adoption rates. And they, of course, came onto the market last year in late September and have been growing ever since. And it makes a lot of this a provided solution. And they're one of the few players that's really able to do this and a trusted brand in China. So I think there's a lot of potential for them.
Is it more challenging, though, for Western brands to penetrate the space?
Obviously, it's a little more challenging, I believe. There's certainly, if you look at the music market, the cost for entering a new market is relatively low. In China, it's somewhat higher. There's government regulations that you will not find in other countries that does prevent companies from coming. There were new rules that were brought in, for example, about how to offer music and where the servers that the music is housed on should be. So that does present more challenges, and obviously I remember when Google Music, this was the first market where Google Music was launched. It didn't last very long. But Apple is staying here, and actually what you're seeing, what's really good for the consumer is that you've really seen adoption by internet service providers that are really looking at offering value-added services on top of music. It's not just high-quality music, it's exclusivity for content or for experience, value-added incentives for people to switch from free subscription to paid subscription. So I think that's going to really, when there's going to be a healthy market for subscription and paid music, then you're going to see it being more attractive for foreign companies.
Well, you know, Eric, overall, the music industry is not doing very well. Last year, worldwide income dropped to about $15 billion. Putting that in perspective, it was $26 billion in 1999, so a very strong downward trend there. This drop mostly due to the digital revolution. Can we just expect this decline to continue? What is necessary to turn it around?
Well, I think there's a little misperception in those numbers. We're really talking about the recorded music industry. So we really have to look at the whole music industry ecosystem. And actually, many sectors in the music industry over the digital music revolution period have either had healthy growth or have boomed. I can think of live music, for example, that has really grown tremendously over those years. Music publishing has also grown tremendously. I've looked at the numbers for performing rights organizations such as ASCAP in the US. And ASCAP has really seen year after year after year, while the recorded music industry has declined, has seen their revenues grown and breaking records. And I think it's really illustrative why has that happened and has a lot of lessons for recorded music. Early on, we actually had a small internet radio streaming site, and we had to get a license from ASCAP and BMI in the US. And it was relatively quite easy. It cost $250 a year. The reporting requirements were quite easy. And so that really incited people to be able to develop new models, new services for the use of music, and that's generated revenue. On the side of recorded music, it's been a lot more difficult for new companies to be able to get access and get the licenses to be able to set up their businesses and offer music and to innovate. And there's been quite a lot of improvement in the last few years, and this is why you have services like Spotify and et cetera that have popped up, SoundCloud, but it's still not as easy as it should be. And until it becomes easy for new businesses to be able to use music, we're not going to see the growth and the size that we had before.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Eric de Fontenay, founder and president of Music Dish China.